What up, guys? It's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life in Missouri.
Hey everyone, this is Evan with Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
And you're listening to the Lawn Care Talk with Tony Rudolph.
What's up, guys? I got a super special guest in the house. I can't believe that I was able to line this up because it's such a unique situation. So for a year or so, I've been watching his YouTube channel and just love everything he puts out. He has a channel where he is a small engine mechanic, and he basically voiceovers what's actually on the bench, like in a given day. And so we have none other than the YouTube superstar, the Greasy Shop Rag, here live on the phone. Even though we're not on the phone, we're on Facebook Messenger, which is kind of better than on the phone. That should be good quality for you guys, but how are you doing tonight, bud? And thank you so much for taking time to come on and do this with me.
Well, thanks, Tony. That was a great intro. I probably jacked that up a little bit more than it had to be, but I appreciate it.
Not a bit. So, so he asked me earlier, he's like, do you want like the, just like the YouTube short story? Do you want the long story? And I'm like, nah, I want the long story. The people out there, they want the long story because you're one of these guys that's, you're kind of elite in the small engines from my perspective and from pretty much everyone's perspective. That's why people love watching your channel because not only are you just working on only one brand, but you're working on a lot of brands, and you're even starting to work on some of the battery small equipment, which is so cool. And I love your channel. Let's say there's a saw that you got going that week, you're working on that week, and it's it's some model that I've never had or never heard of that saw. Well, you know what? When it says, hey, it's a problem, it wasn't the coil or the carb, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to listen to that, right? So that's what always happens. That gets me every time. And so people love your channel and think just you guys out there, you're going to understand why you're going to want to subscribe to his channel, the Greasy Shop Rag on YouTube. Of course, at the end of this show, I'll have his link in the description and all that stuff. But so why don't you tell us the long story? I'm going to shut up and I want you to tell the long story. Why are you in small engines? How did you get in small engines? How did this all start? Because you have a niche in the market that, man, it's going to be hard for other guys in your area to kind of compete with what you're doing. And you're just giving people tips for free. You're showing them how to fix all these random things and all this stuff, every single day, on your channel. And so, man, that's incredible. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing for the community and for the green industry out here. It means a lot to us. I've learned so much watching your channel. I've known about you maybe only about a year or so, and so I've just contacted with him back and forth, and I was like, hey, because it won't let me give you a link in your comments, but I'm like, hey, hit me up. I want to get my podcast, and so he dove in my description and went through the process, to find me email, to email me, and he put out effort to come to you guys tonight here on the podcast. So, yeah, take me the long story. Do it.
Well, first of all, you said that I'm basically giving away all the secrets, right? Teaching everybody on the videos. Well, with all this battery-powered equipment coming through, do you ever get the feeling that maybe, gas engines are like a dying art? I know we don't want to think that way, but if the politicians get their way, we might not have these around as long as we'd like. And I feel that the more people know about them, the better our odds are. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but
it does. But I think there are so many, because I own a lot of brands, different brands of battery equipment, and it's very good. But man, there are some things that it's gonna be a while before they're up to par. Exactly. I'll just be honest. Like, right. I don't know if you can see it right there. You see that thing?
Yep.
So that is the Redmax EBZ 9000.
Right. I'm anxious for the Husky version to come out. We're going to see that in spring at our shop.
Yeah. It's the same thing, though. You know that. I mean, it's all the tubes have Husqvarna on them and everything. It's going to be pretty much identical. But like a blower that's putting out power like that can do leaf cleanup like that, man, even some of these ones. So with battery, power is not a problem, but runtime is a problem, especially on a blower like this.
Right.
And I own several brands of them, but man, it would be very challenging to go through a whole leaf season right now and have any blower that would be able to make it feasible, unless you're going to just have a crazy amount of batteries. And I mean, even these, even the big Crest or even the Husqvarna briefcase, the huge batteries, the things are only lasting like 15, 20 minutes, on full power on a blower. And like you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a lot of things like that it's just gas isn't going anywhere for leaf cleanup blowers,
until the next big battery breakthrough, and when that happens, it'll be great, but it isn't there yet. And if they're pushing it on us, that's a little bit of a problem, but I'm not going to get political on any of this, but
oh, you
I
can.
just think
Yeah, it's fine.
Some
Fine with
things
me.
are getting a little bit rushed, I think.
Absolutely.
But batteries are the future, and I like to show some of that. I might make it look like I know what I'm doing on the bench there, but a lot of those things I'm seeing for the first time and just working my way through it, which, if you've been doing it long enough, isn't that big a deal. So to go back, all the way back, when I was younger, I was a little gearhead, right? And I like taking stuff apart. And I was able to put it back together and it still worked, right? So I wasn't discouraged from doing that. So all my life I've been tearing stuff apart and seeing what makes it work. And even now, when you see some of these YouTube videos, if a new piece of Ego equipment lands on my bench and I've never worked on it before, I'm kind of thrilled to jump in there and see what makes it tick. But, like my first job out of high school, I was sharpening lawnmower blades and doing oil changes for a local contractor. And that eventually turned into working on the crew. And you and I have a lot more in common than you may know. I have run lawn crews for decades before I was a full-time mechanic. So, I worked for a dealer. I don't know if you ever heard of Yazoo lawnmowers.
Oh, absolutely. Yazoo keys. I've had one. Yeah.
Well, before it was Yazoo keys, it was just Yazoo. And they had 3-wheel tractors with front mount decks.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever saw those.
No.
You had 2 drive wheels in the front and a steering wheel in the back, and you sat over the steering wheel, the turn wheel, and the deck was out front. And they were quite popular for the longest time. And the guy I was working for was a dealer for them. So I started my, lawnmower repair experience with those. And I was the guy that fixed everything on the crew. So I did the chainsaws and the weed whackers and all of that. And that business sold, and I went with the business. And then I trained the next owner basically in, lawn care technique, what had to be done on the job, the stuff you're doing every day.
Yep.
That business sold, and I did it again. Well, when that business was going to sell, someone else approached me, and he was going to give me a lot more freedom as far as working in the shop and being able to do what I wanted to do. And I worked for him for 17 years. But the whole time, I really wanted to just be a mechanic. And then something happened. And are you familiar with a Smithco sweeper?
No, I don't think so.
So this is this particular one was a 60-inch wide machine, 2 wheels in the back and a single wheel in the front, and you kind of sat over that single wheel. And I was sweeping a lawn and hit a huge pothole and ended up having back surgery after that.
Oh, wow.
Well, after that, I couldn't sit on mowers anymore after that, bouncing around. When the opportunity came to just be a mechanic, I took it. So that's how I ended up, just fixing chainsaws and weed whackers and not out in the field. I still manage the part of our business that is the turf applications. And I still hold a pesticide license. So, I mean, I'm not out of that stuff. I just don't really do much of it anymore.
I got you. So what do you mean by that? Like with the pesticide stuff, are you like overseeing like a crew that's going out, or what do you mean by that? Are you just meaning you're overseeing the equipment for
so
it? Right.
So I used to do pesticide applications, the spraying and the fertilizing. And that was the same thing. I couldn't sit on the equipment very long. It was just too much on my back. So I secure the clients. I'm their contact. I take care of the scheduling and product purchasing. I do everything but put the stuff down on the ground.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's
Kinda developed
still like under your business or what?
No, I am an employee.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And so what do you work for? Don't you work for a dealer right now though?
So the business is a rental shop, a
Okay.
Husky dealer, Echo dealer, Toro dealer, DR, a few other brands.
Yep. DR Power. Yep.
A lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah, it's a lot of brands, a lot of products. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be big into tents and party supplies, trucking. He's kind of tapered it down. Along with Husqvarna, we do the automowers, which I know
Uh-huh.
guys that cut grass probably don't want to hear about a robot taking over their job, but they're pretty exciting products. I have one here at home that cuts the grass. It's kind of nice to, if you got to mow it and trim it, and now all you have to do is trim it because the machine's doing the mowing.
That's really
saves
cool.
a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that rental shop, they have guys that go out and do turf applications still is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a division of that business that does it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it works out good because, if you have to put equipment on your lawn crew and you have a rental center / dealership that's attached to it, all the equipment on that crew is stuff that wouldn't sell through the dealership or stuff that we want to move from the rental center out, works pretty good.
That is neat. So do they like cut grass and stuff too, or they just do like the treatments?
No, they are a lawn mowing crew.
Oh, I gotcha.
So there's a lawn mowing crew, and then there's a separate turf application crew.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same guys.
Gotcha. So you're not involved in that. And so how did you get involved to where you don't work on big machines like these, but you work on the small stuff? Like, how did you start to like expertise in that? I don't know the right word for that, but yeah.
Well, I've always, done that kind of repair, fixing transformers and all that. I've always known how to do it. And, I'd always have to fix the equipment that was on our crew that broke. So when a person that was in the shop left, it left an opening. Nobody else knew how to, say, fix chainsaws. And I saw it as an opportunity. I talked to the employer and I said, I got to get off this equipment. I mean, I'm walking around kind of bent over all the time, and he could see that. And it was kind of a natural fit. And there's enough work there that I can just do the handheld equipment, and there's 2 or 3 other guys that do the wheeled equipment. So, and then another guy that does rental equipment. So it keeps busy there.
How long have you been just doing the small equipment?
Like 13 years, I think.
Wow. That's a lot of chainsaws on the bench, in the 13 years.
I haven't been recording that long, but
Right. No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that's just a lot of I'm just talking about for you. That's a lot of saws that came across the thing.
oh, sure.
Yeah, and it's crazy what has changed. Like even from when I was a kid, because see, I'm second generation doing this, so like like just things have changed a lot. Some things have not changed, but like for example, like the backpack blowers. When I was a kid, my dad had they were the Husqvarna maybe 145 BT or something. Kind of big old ugly thing. Not a lot of power, super heavy. And he would actually.
Back in the day, that was the machine.
Yeah, and it's just crazy how things have developed. To like this new one now.
Right.
And I have this. Which you always do videos. Hang on a second. So the Mark III.
Oh, sure.
and that was the one, up until this one that just came out. Man, that thing is great. And I saw you have videos where you mess with the impeller inside, and then something came loose in there. I remember that was probably your most recent one of that blower that I listened to. It's crazy how much those have changed, how all this stuff has changed a lot. But on the other hand, like you're saying, battery definitely is coming. So for me, like during like the summertime mowing and like blowing off the grass clippings and stuff, I have the Milwaukee line of equipment because they are actually one of the first ones that came out. This was in like 2017 or something. Right. And they have, a full line of stuff, and they have, it's still 18 volt, but they're up to, they have up to 12 amp hour ones. So that's 240 watt hours or 216 watt hours. But Milwaukee now has the Forge battery, which is a tabless battery, which for people out there, instead of having like the little metal bridges in between the double A's, they're not double A, but inside the battery pack, most people would see them as double A's. Yeah. It's kind of like glued together, like almost as one piece, almost like an electric car battery. And so that is what like the Crest brand has. That's what kind of makes it special, like be able to charge fast. It doesn't get hot, those kind of things. And so that's what I think the next thing is for Husqvarna for all these lines. They're going to need to get like a tabless battery because it is awesome. One came out a couple months ago. I have one of their biggest one, the Milwaukee one. Like you can have that thing full and just run it all the way until dead, and the battery still isn't hot. And then you put it on the charger.
That's nice.
Yeah, and they have a supercharger, and as you know, heat is the enemy for anything battery. Right. So because of the efficiency, because of like the normal way, the current gets wide in the battery, and then it's got to get skinny again and jump over the little bridges and go to the next battery, So with the tabless technology, it's all kind of like together, and so it's just more efficient. It doesn't get as hot, and that also means you can charge them up faster too. So that's what I see coming down the line. So have you seen anything new? Because I have friends, and I personally think that the Husqvarna, that 36 volt line, like the 525 ILST, all these tools like that, I think that is the lightest, the best, string trimmer in the world, gas or electric. I think like that 525 ILST, dedicated string trimmer, that thing is amazing. I have friends that run that. Always drool over it every time I go to the expo. I haven't bought one yet, but I still might. So have you seen anything, because at the expo, I didn't catch if they had a new line, because a lot of that stuff is just popping up on sale online. So do you know of, is there a new kind of Husqvarna line to your knowledge that's coming out, or you're not sure?
I am not sure, but I can tell you that it is frustrating trying to keep up with all the different models they keep coming out with. And it almost reminds me of Harley Davidson's. They'd add a different set of handlebars or different grips on it, and they'd give it a whole new model designation.
Yep.
It's crazy to try and keep up with the changes. And I see some of that in our showroom. And, a guy can only keep up with so much, I guess. There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah.
It's even on the exact same models, there could be differences between the ones that are made or were made for Lowe's or for everyone else, for dealers. I think that there was some problem with the relationship between Husky and Lowe's that might not exist anymore. Maybe it was a different big box store. I'm not even sure. But we ended up getting a bunch of those machines, and we had them hanging side by side on the rack, and they had different prices, but they were supposedly the same machine with the same specs. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I noticed that so what is it? So there was like the 150 BT, kind of their smaller, Lowe's backpack blower, but then they have the 350 BT, which it looks exactly the same. Is one of them like made for California or something, or like?
No, I think the 350 was going away.
Okay.
I think that one's going away if it didn't already. Not 100% sure, but I think that one is going away. And that 150, I mean, it's like a glorified handheld blower on your back, really.
Yes, yeah.
Which I'm not saying that's bad, because there's people that want to clean their yard that can't hold a blower in their hand for more than 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I actually did a video about, it's been 5 or 6 years ago, about baby backpack blower wars because it was cool. So I bought the Husqvarna 130 BT, which they
Okay.
no longer have, but I'm sure you're familiar with that. It's like it's a baby little thing. And then Echo has their little 265 LN, same thing. Little, it's like a handheld blower motor. And then Steel has one, I don't know, something 200. But that Husqvarna one had the biggest fan on it, and so my dad still owns that. So like that one, the specs all look similar on paper, but the little Husqvarna 130, man, that thing was pretty good. And so like for summer blowing, that's even kind of better in my opinion than, I have several handheld blowers, but like I love, because like you can't even tell you have anything on your back. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you go down and we're on the, we service like lake homes here, and so they're kind of slopes on the back. They got a 2-story porch, 2 or 3-story porch on every house. You got to go up all them steps. So, like during the summer, and that kind of thing. Like, man, a small blower like that is money. Which they unfortunately they discontinued that one, or I'd have one sitting here now. But anyway, and then so. It's been interesting over the years, and like you're saying, keeping up with all the model numbers, because you're also doing Echo too, right?
Yeah.
And here's what's weird. So I have one here that's new. I'll show it, which I'm sure you've seen it. But so these kind of weird looking. This is an Echo blower right here.
Which model is that?
So 5810T.
Oh, the 4-stroke or
Yes.
4-mix, whatever you want to call it.
So I thought, I was like, man, this thing is so weird, because it's like. And I was talking to the people at Echo, at the expo, and I was like, that's so interesting that you guys would choose to do this, because all the people that are like, Echo fanboys are because they hate the 4-mix on the Steel side. You see what I'm saying? And so like, it's crazy that you guys would have an Echo blower that's basically a 4-mix, like, because I've already checked the valve clearance on it. I mean, because I've ran Steel my whole life, ran every company, and it's exactly like how the Steel's, like, the way it just seems, like when you check the valves and everything.
Right. Right.
I mean, almost identical. So
do you remember Shindawa used to have the 4-stroke trimmers and blowers?
I've never owned one. I hear people talk about those. I've never owned one of those, though.
So Echo and Shindawa are both under the parent company Yamabiko.
Yep.
And I don't know if this technology is carried over from that, or if they started from scratch on this blower. But you're right, it does look just like the Steel 4-mix on the inside.
But why I bought this was because, so this is at 20.9 pounds, and even the Steel, let's say the Steel BR 600 is kind of comparable to this one, kind of a mid-sized commercial backpack blower. But that one is 21.6, and if you read in the manual, it's not including the black, like, plastic plate on the bottom of the Steel. So this Echo is pretty much like a pound lighter than the BR 600, with almost like the same power and stuff. And it's only $429. And so, like, I would definitely recommend this to people, like,
and it pulls very easy to start.
Yes, yeah.
So we sell a lot of those to people that just don't have the gumption anymore to pull on a 580 backpack blower or a 770 or whatever it is.
And I feel like it definitely has more power than so this is the 5810 or whatever they call it, but I feel like it does have more power than the regular Echo 580, like the regular Home Depot 379 one.
Them, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So this one definitely has more power, more CFM. So like, I think this is a good blower to sell to people, like in your shop. Like I really like that. I like that machine. Obviously right now, right now we're getting into the heavy leafs, which is why I just bought one of those Red Max. I want to get your opinion on it, because there's a bunch of people that, of the 9000, there's a bunch of people that are scared of it, and even some Red Max dealers will not sell or carry them because they don't know how to fix the auto tune thing. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So what is your opinion? Is it a bad system? Does it work fine? Like, what I'm saying? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, auto tune came out in like 2012, I believe. And I think we're up to the third generation of auto tune now. I'm not sure with this blower if this is Gen 3 or not. I assume it is because I think it just has a start button on it,
Yes,
right?
yep. You push the button on the side and pull it.
Right. And then does that release when you hit the trigger?
I'm assuming it does. I never really looked. I just got the blower literally Thursday, so.
So with a Gen 3 auto tune on a chainsaw, you set it the start button, but it's a choke. You set it to start, you start it up, and it will run like that. Auto tune will compensate for it being choked. So the old versions of auto tune did not do that.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yep. So that's why it's got a start button on there. But what I was going to say is that auto tune is a great system. We don't see a lot of problems with auto tune itself. The problems we see are usually that it's so good at compensating for things like not cleaning the air filter
Gotcha.
that people will think, well, things running good. I don't need to service it. I don't need to look at it until auto tune can't compensate for it anymore. And then the thing won't run. And then auto tune gets a bad rap
Gotcha.
when, if you would have cleaned your air filter or looked at the fuel filter, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
But auto tune itself is the ignition coil and the module on the side of the carburetor and the related wiring. And that stuff all holds up well. There are some chainsaws where the wiring between the carb and the coil may have been compromised or pinched. Those things have all been worked out, but it's just the same with any system that is new. You got to work out the bugs, right?
Yeah, so you're saying it's not really a problem because it is people ask me that like on my YouTube channel and on the podcast and stuff like all the time, like, are you going to buy it? What's your thoughts about it? Whatever. And I've seen you have the saws in there plenty of times on your videos, and like you're saying, they've had that technology on the saws for a long time. There's several brands that have it.
Yep.
I think Husqvarna was one of the first ones that have it. But anyway, all like the big logging saws and stuff, a lot of them will run that. So you're saying the button may not undo itself? Like, so how would you undo it if
I'm not. I was just curious about because I haven't seen one yet. If it had a choke lever or a push button on it.
There's no choke lever. There's no choke lever.
It's actually a choke button. When you're pushing that button and you're actuating a choke like you would with a lever.
But I'm saying, do I have to worry about the button being disengaged, or it's just doing it on its own?
No, it's well, I don't know. When you push the button in, does it stay or does it pop back out? It must stay in until you hit the trigger, and then it must pop out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so like when the first time, so I used it for a full day of leaf cleanups the other day. Because just me, just me out on the route. So that first lawn I went to in the morning, I pushed it and I started. I ran, did like 3 houses in a row, went to the next yards, put some more gas in it. But then I didn't even press the button. I just pulled it and it just started right up, Sure. And then so I just did that, throughout the day. Even though it was cold outside, like it just started up with one pull. So I'm like, well, because I was like, well, if it just starts when I pull, I'm not going to press the button. I'm not going to have to, worry about those. I don't want it to worry about the levels if it doesn't need to.
Right.
And so then.
Do you remember back with the chainsaws? I mean, maybe you weren't as involved with the chainsaws, but Husky got a bad rap with auto tune and restarting a warm saw.
Okay.
It was a big problem for people. They couldn't get their warm saws to restart. And if they would have pushed the primer bulb to pump some of that hot fuel out of the carb and circulate some of the cool fuel from the tank, and if they would have set the choke and then released the choke back to run position, all they'd have left is the fast idle setting. So when you flip it to choke, you get choke and fast idle. But if you turn it off, choke back down, you're just fast idle until you hit the trigger.
Okay.
So if you set that fast idle when it's warm, start it, and then hit the trigger to idle it down, they start every time. It's the people that don't know that procedure or weren't taught it or bought from the big box store and nobody told them. And because nobody reads the owner's manual, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So they had a bad rap for a while, and I think they're trying to keep working themselves away from that because all their equipment has got big stickers on it about starting procedure.
Yep.
And sometimes, even as a mechanic, I look at them stickers and I got to look at it 2 or 3 times to exactly know what they're saying. And this start button, I think, is going to eliminate all of that. Every time you start it, you just push that button in and it's going to set the test title. And
So you're saying you think that the button just comes back out by itself when you use it?
yeah, you can verify that right now. Just push the button in and then grab the trigger and see if it pops out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if my cord will reach, but I might could get it. That would be cool. Yeah. Just let me think. So I was thinking, so tell people a little bit about, like just because you're so cool about how you're working on all these brands. Why do you, I see you working on Poolin. I see you working on everything out there. And so like that takes a lot of patience. How are you like finding parts for these things? And then how are you, because some of those brands could be potential, let's say it's an old, pool install, that's,
Right.
that someone brings in, right? Which again, I don't know why someone wouldn't just buy, even if they just bought like a residential, one of the newer Husqvarna saws or something. It's going to be way better than that, in my opinion, but like, but anyway, so tell people a little bit, because guys, he is being very humble of how he's talking about all these things, but like, he understands the complex about these two-stroke equipment from back to front, from every brand. Like he works on steel, he works on everything. So, and then also, like your parts, you're sourcing all these parts. Like you always have these parts ready in the videos, but are you able to get them like for all these brands? And how do you like have the patience for all these things and just kind of tell people, because I'm going to get up and let you talk. I'm going to pause the mic. I'm going to go get the blower and I'll bring it over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So as far as all the different brands that I work on, if you can get it to our door, we'll look at it. Now, there's going to be a minimum labor charge, even if we can't fix it. But we tell people up front, and a lot of people, sometimes the thing was their father's chainsaw and it's got sentimental value, or they just have it stuck in their head that buying new is way more expensive than fixing old. And that's not always the case. So we're willing to look at anything as long as the customer knows up front that it might not end well. As far as all the different brands that I work on, I don't know if you're aware of this, Tony, but I have an eBay store. And I
Yes,
sell
absolutely.
used parts, okay?
Yep.
So I've got saws, and if you were in my garage right now, you'd be tripping over 150 chainsaws out there. So and trimmers and blowers and whatever. But I get all this stuff in, and a lot of it comes from a guy that is a picker that I know, and he gets it from the dump. So it's junk.
Wow.
But there's still good parts in there to resell. And a lot of it is oddball stuff. And I get it here, put it on my bench at home, tear it apart. Now I know what makes this particular model tick. They all work exactly the same. And once you know that, you can fix anything. But there's specifics to taking things apart without wrecking them. Plastic shrouds and where's the hidden screw and whatever. So I have a lot of experience taking stuff apart that I may never even see at work. You know what I'm getting at?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm back. I'm sorry. I was only gone just for a second, but anyway, it does.
When you push the button, then what happens?
Clicks in, goes in pretty far, like a good inch or so. And then when you push the trigger, it pops right back out. Yeah.
Well, it's just a choke lever, just a different style of choke lever, but it gives you the illusion of it needing to be pushed in order to start that machine. I'll bet you it would, after it's warm, you wouldn't have to push the button and it would just start up.
Well, that's what I did, like I told you the other day. I only pressed it that one time in the morning, and then every job, it just went one pull, no push the button or anything.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is probably the Gen 3 one if it
would have to be, yeah.
Comes back out like that. Another thing I noticed is that this thing is pretty good on gas.
Yep.
Like I bet you it's pushing more power, than the 580, the Husqvarna that's on the shelf, the Mark III, the newest one. But I bet you this thing is better on gas than that is, even though it's making more power. And that is cool. So how are they doing that? Just because it's always keeping it never too rich, or like that kind of thing?
Exactly. Auto-tune constantly adjusts the carburetor. And I don't know about Gen 3, but Gen 1, I believe 12 times a second would do a lean test. So if it was running, it would lean it out just a little bit, and then it would, if the RPMs went up or the RPMs went down, it would make the next adjustment based on that. So it knew if it was running too lean or too rich, and it would do that like 12 times a second, right? I don't know if Gen 3 does it more often than that or not. I'm not sure, but that's how auto-tune works. Constantly doing a lean test to see if the RPMs go up or down, and then making a carburetor adjustment, and then testing that adjustment, and lather, rinse, repeat, keep going.
That is insane that it can do that.
So it's always running at perfect, right? So that's why your fuel economy goes up. And that's the same thing guys saw with the 592 XP chainsaw getting so much better, mileage, we'll say, than the 395s that it replaced.
I gotcha. And I heard you talking a little bit. I was trying to listen on the headphones while you're over there, but so all these different brands, is that a holdup for you? Let's say, because you're saying you have so many that the guy that you get from a guy that brings to the, picks them from the dump or whatever. Yeah. But, let's say there's a brand of some saw that you've never seen before. And like you're saying, the shrouds are all like this and stuff. And have you had to is there ever a piece that's frustrating because there's that random screw, that's, stuck somewhere that you aren't familiar with? And here's my question to you. You're so good at this, and your shop is, you don't have a shortage of business or anything. So why do you, take on all these brands? Because it would be so easy for you to just we just work on Husqvarna saws and blowers, and and you have all the parts for that. Why would you not just do that? Why are you taking on, Pool and Wild Thing saws and that kind of thing?
We talked earlier about this business being, a rental shop and a lawn service and pesticide applications and anything else that we might do. It's pretty much servicing your customer base. So if that customer needed his Poulan chainsaw fixed or his Gravely lawnmower worked on or wanted his leaves picked up, we help them with that. We service them. So that's why we take that stuff on. If it's, but, we get the people that bring in that we don't know, they're new customers, and they bring something in, and then you try to earn that customer, right? So now you worked on his POS 1970, whatever. Yeah. And you made him happy. Maybe he's going to look at maybe buying his next weed whacker from you or whatever it is, that.
Well, I just think it's awesome because I feel like so many shops are not doing what you're doing. They're just, even ones here in Georgia. I mean, there's, because I live in Georgia, so there's a lot of lawn work here. The grass grows like nuts almost year round. There's no shortage. And there's less and less. Just like there's less and less people going into small engine mechanics, there's less and less people want to mow lawns. All that. Yeah. So if I was a shop, I'd be like, well, I can just work on Husqvarna saws or just steel or whatever, and I could. There's still enough chainsaws that are broken, that are Husqvarna that you could do that. You know what I mean? But I just think you're going above and beyond for that customer to find this saw. And I didn't hear the part. So how are you sourcing parts for some of these other brands? And it's just so cool that that's kind of what makes you above and beyond, is that you're not just putting videos about, okay, it's just another 5 whatever, Husqvarna saw, the same thing I do every day. You're showing all the brands, and your shop's taking all the brands, and they're kind of how are you sourcing parts for all that? And they're kind of I wouldn't say they're taking a risk, but they're really trying to look out for that customer to be able to take their, like you're saying, their piece of junk saw, and they're having you work on it. That's cool. That's really cool. That's not a normal thing, that happens all the time. There's not many dealers where I live, but there's one, there's one steel dealer down, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes away. And, guess what? They don't touch anything that's not a steel piece of equipment. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
fine. And same thing with, with the other, brands that are around or wherever. And so, that's so
So I
cool.
don't know how much of it uh, is the shop's policy or is it the shop's ability to fix the stuff. So if you've got a young tech who isn't willing to look at older equipment or has no idea, or if you say points and condenser, their head starts spinning because they've never seen that stuff and never worked on it. Then you're not going to try and fix that as a shop owner. You're going to turn that away. If you end up hiring someone that knows how to fix that stuff and you want to keep them busy, well, then you take it on, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to be doing this forever at this business. So what happens after I leave and who's going to fill those shoes and how much experience will they have? And will, we still keep taking on that older stuff? I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying, I think a lot of it depends on who the shop owner has in the shop. You
I gotcha.
can't take on a brand or a model that nobody knows how to fix because you're going to get a bad reputation. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. And it kind of goes toward making the YouTube videos. The more people that are educated, the more we can keep this stuff out of the landfills, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Although, if they're in the landfills, that kind of helps my eBay store a little bit because that's where I'm getting my stuff from.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and another question is, so is this a thing like where you planned for years in advance to be in small engines, and so you like went to college or like school under these particular brands to like, because I know there are offered, I'm assuming from Husqvarna and Steel, you can there's gold and silver levels of like certification and blah blah blah. So did you do all that? How long does it take to do that? Let's say there's some young person listening to this right now, and they maybe in the future they want to be a 2-cycle small engine, or they learn to fix battery chainsaws or whatever whatever's coming down the line. Did you just start learning, as some people do, or as I kind of, just grew up in the business, or are you certified in every brand, or, like, how does that work, like, in that
Right.
field?
Well, I told you earlier that I like taking stuff apart, putting it back together, right? When I was 16 and got my driver's license, I wanted to get a car, and my dad said, "You don't need a car." He was a hot rodder car guy when he was a kid, and cars are dangerous. But a motorcycle, sure, you can have a motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
To him, a motorcycle was like a scooter or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
First bike that I ended up buying at 16 was a Kawasaki 3-cylinder 2-stroke.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And if anyone, if your listeners are familiar with that bike, they used to call it the Widowmaker.
I'm not familiar with it, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, me and my dad, we flipped bikes. We probably flipped about 20 bikes or something like that, but a lot of them were smaller 2-stroke bikes. So I got a lot of experience there. And over the years, I've probably had 50 bikes. I don't know. I think there's 3 of them here now. So that was one way I got the experience with hands-on with motorcycles and 2-strokes. And then, working for the landscaper and get involved in lawnmowers and string trimmers and blowers. And I got to tell you 2 things before I keep going. We used to trim lawn with a little 3-wheeled push mower. It had aluminum shell and like a 2.5 horse Briggs, 1 wheel out in front. And you just kind of worked it around a tree, and that was a trimming machine.
Oh, I
It
gotcha.
pivoted real easy on 3 wheels, right? And I begged the boss for a string trimmer. They were just, he came back with this thing that had a Briggs and Stratton engine on like a backpack.
Oh, wow.
Big flex cable with a 4-string head. And it like took 2 men and a boy to wear this thing and run it. It was big. So that didn't fly, but I learned how to work on it. Then we had backpack blowers that, they came out, the first ones, the fuel tank was on the top, believe it or not.
Yep, yep.
You don't think much about it. Well, that'd be easy to fill the tank, right? But what happens when you have a leak on a piece of equipment when the fuel tank's over there? So you don't see that anymore.
Yeah. You don't want a big old fire on your back. That's probably not a good idea.
Right. Well, I worked on a lot of that early stuff, and I'd seen it from not its beginnings, but in the early years, I saw a lot of that stuff and was able to progress through the years and see the changes and be part of that in the repair process. I also, along that route, decided I wanted to learn more, so I took a correspondence course. This was like all done through the mail, and they sent you tools and they sent you an engine. I think I got a generator. I could have got an outboard motor if I wanted to went that route. But I took that course, and you learn a lot, not necessarily about specifics per brand, but the general theory of how things work. And I really think that if you know that, you can fix pretty much anything. There's going to be specifics like M-tronic and auto-tune and all that. But if you know the hows and the whys of the fuel moving through the motor and all of that, you should be able to fix just about anything.
And I think there are, so you pretty much, so besides this mail thing, like you're just doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. 'Cause like, I mean, you know more about fixing all these brands of these saws and stuff, probably more than, someone even that's certified in this brand, which I'm not against, someone doing that, but that is cool that you're able to do it at the level that you're doing it, just by a mail, correspondent thing. And it's, I think it's just hard enough where, yes, battery will start to interfere with stuff, but at the same time, like small carburetors on 2-stroke things, like, it's just complicated enough, like where you gotta want to learn it and you gotta want to know it. Like even for me, like I know just enough to be dangerous, like I haven't really like, I haven't, my whole life, I haven't really used mower shops or anything like that. I pretty much fix all my stuff, but I still don't know as much as you, like, I don't know how to, I grew up racing radio control cars, nitro and electric,
Yep.
and those, it's 30,000 RPMs and tiny little, nitromethane motor. And so that did, racing all those years, that really helped me as I became an adult, to fix a lot of the stuff because I'm learning it, in a fun atmosphere where because my dad's not going to fix any of my cars. So if I'm going to, which he didn't even like, I started in the racing as a teenager myself. So, like if I wanted to continue racing that day, well, guess what? I have to figure out how to, get the stuff back together. They have 4 differentials, the 4-wheel drive. It's a scaled down version pretty much of this stuff anyway, but learning how to tune those, if you can learn how to tune those and learn, how you're making sure all your clutch bearings are good and just all these things that are super important, your clutch shoes and your springs and all the stuff that goes on it. And then, the slightest air change, I mean, those things are out of tune. Like, so if you can, playing with the tune on those for a lot of years, on a regular 2-stroke piece of equipment, way easier than that. You know what I mean? Whereas, 1 hour on a screw on that, can change everything like crazy. But I say all that to say that even me, I still don't know how to thoroughly clean out of every crest and crevice out of a carburetor to make it new again, even with a carb rebuild kit these are things that I have to learn. Like, and then,
So before you go any farther on that, now, have you been watching my videos?
yes, absolutely. For a year or so.
How often do you actually see me like putting a carburetor in an ultrasonic cleaner or heck, a lot of times I don't even pull the jets out of the carburetor to clean it.
Yeah, I don't see you doing that. But I know you can or you could, and you kind of know what's going on. Yeah.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you have enough knowledge to open it up and put the gasket set in there and to see if the micro screen is plugged up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's anything more than that, usually it's not worth fixing. It's cheaper as a dealer mechanic to just replace it than it is to spend a half an hour of someone's money to try and
Right.
clean it, hopefully getting it right the first time, you know?
Yes.
Because if you get it the second time, you're definitely moving the wrong direction as far as the money goes, you know? Could have replaced it. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, you know, don't sell yourself short. You probably have enough knowledge to do most of that stuff. And that's kind of what the videos are about, is showing that it's not really that complicated, you know?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you thinking about that, but and same even with my cars and trucks too. Over the last, see, my dad's worked on, he has skid steers and he has all the stuff. So like, but for the last 10 or 12 years, like I have, I have older cars. I have a 2009 Ram. My wife has a 2007 Chevy Tahoe. So, and they both have, around a couple 100,000 miles on them. But for the last 10 or 12 years, I've never even used any shops either. Like even a couple of years ago, I had to replace the evaporative core in my AC and had to take the whole dash out of my Ram truck, center console, the whole thing. And I was proud of myself because I got it all out. It took me a full day, and I got it all back in. No clips or screws left over. Everything worked. Every gauge worked. And so that was, for me, that was an accomplishment, doing something like that. Because even a lot of the shops around here, they could tell the AC was leaking, but they don't want to pull the dash, and do all that. And so I had to do that part. I mean, there are some, if you dig, find one. But anyway, I just did it in my driveway one day. And so,
how many YouTube videos did you have to watch to do that?
yeah, I did watch a couple, and that's why people should watch your videos. But it's like,
there you go.
But what I'm saying is I feel like sometimes there can be little things on this two-stroke equipment that can be annoying for some reason.
You are right about that.
Yeah, so like, let me think. So maybe last year or something, I was on Acme Tools, and they had these Husqvarna, maybe the 125B handheld blower, and they had these refurbished ones that they were selling for like $90 or $80 or something.
Yep.
So I just figured, hey, they're nice to refurbish. So I ordered two. I'm like, I'll give one to my dad. I'll have one for me just for fun, for backup. And then if there's problems, after watching your videos, I have two of them. I could always swap back and forth. But then, so I get both these blowers, and like, man, I don't know what went wrong, but like, so they were just sitting on my shelf for months. I gave them one for Christmas or something. So it was 3 months later, I opened it up. One of them, man, there's no way that thing's refurbished. Like it was a mess. Like so many parts of it were hacked up, and like, it did not seem like a refurbished one. It seemed like one that someone had thrown over to the side, and like both of them, neither one of them ran good, right out of the box. Certified refurbished from Husqvarna or whatever. But to me, it looked like a well-used, not a very good blower, it was crazy. There's a couple parts that were broken, just right out of the thing. Anyway, I don't know if they're returns, who knows. But
I don't know anything about the refurbished program with them. I have no idea what that means. Is there like a big letter R engraved in the bottom of them or somewhere? Or is it on the serial tag?
I don't know. I don't know if those ones did. I think maybe they did. And one of them looked good, and one of them looked bad. But anyway, so I'm like, well, I have some problems. So then I was like, so then the one, it was weird because like I could tune it up. You could blow with it for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, shut it off, start it up, perfect, right? And then you set it down, and then you, come to run it again. It'll start up, but man, that thing will run like garbage and just fall on its face. And so I took the carburetor out of the other one, put in this one, put a new fuel filter, spark plug, all these things. And that changed the carburetor over to this one from that other one. Still didn't fix it. So I'm like, well, I'm going to gap the coil. I'm going to move the coil over here. Still, even with the different coil, even with the different, the cylinder looked pretty good to me. Like these are just checks that you go through.
Yep.
Still, the thing just ran like garbage. Like, so, I mean, yes, it's definitely possible there's something wrong with both carburetors, right? But I took them apart, didn't see anything on that screen, took the screen out, made sure it wiped it off, because you could have a clear film that's still not letting it kind of breathe through. So, like, I took it out like you do and cleaned it, put it back in, put all that stuff back together. And man, just like, like little things like that. Like, I never got either one of those blowers working, top notch. And
Do you still have the blowers?
I don't. I took both of them to the dump.
Oh, my buddy found them. That's right. I
Yeah.
sold them on eBay.
Yeah.
No, on the 125B, if you grab the air filter cover and you can wiggle.
I saw that in your video. Yep.
Oh, you've seen that. So
Yep.
that would indicate that there's a loose intake manifold. You'd have to take it apart and fix that. Sometimes, if you get a crank seal that's out or a loose cylinder base gasket and you have a small air leak, it's just like that intake manifold being loose. The thing may not run right, or it may not pull air through the engine or through the carburetor, I should say, because it's pulling air through the crank seal. So it may not start that way. And I think the video that I did today that I dropped was about that. Air not moving through the engine. So,
And would you be able to tell that on a compression test? Like, see, I don't have one of those little tools. I should get one that you can see if the coil spark, is consistent, is jumping over. That little bridge thing that you put in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that, but I should. That would be something that would be valuable for me to. Obviously, I'm not.
For the crank seals, you would want to pressure or vacuum test. So you got to block off the exhaust, block off the intake, pump air in, and then see if the crankcase is tight. If air bleeds off, then you have an air leak and the engine's not going to run right. If you pull vacuum on it and it bleeds off, it's probably sucking through the crank seals or somewhere else. That crankcase has got to be tight for that two-stroke to run right. When it's trying to draw air in, it's trying to draw it through the carburetor. But if it's drawing it through some other source, and then it's not drawing it through the carburetor, or at least not as much, and it won't run right.
I gotcha. So you're saying in that situation, it could have been something like that? I mean, I didn't see any physical leaks or grease or in the engine block.
That's just one possibility.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different possibilities. I mean, I've seen perfectly good pieces of equipment that wouldn't start that were just so flooded, and the standard, let it sit overnight or whatever, just didn't work. There was still fuel puddled in the bottom of the crankcase. And it wasn't until you tip it upside down and pull the cord and get everything out and then hold the throttle wide open with the air filter off the machine and pull and pull and pull, that might eventually start. Extremely flooded machines that nothing else is wrong. Just the customer pull until he's blue in the face with the choke on.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think either one of these machines were rich, because the plug didn't look rich or anything. But yeah. So, yeah, then, even like this machine right here, this has a Kohler 23 EFI. There's all kind of like modules and stuff on the side. And this stuff scares me a little bit, if I'm honest, like there's 3-4 different plugs, almost looks like on your truck, on your car, what I mean? It has this little module and man, so like.
I'm not a 4-stroke knuckle dragger, but I think one of those on the Kohler is called the Spark Advanced module. You probably got a voltage regulator on there. I don't know.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I don't. We got some guys in the shop that specialize in that, and they're hooking them. I don't know if that one they can, but they're hooking them up to laptops like I do with the auto tune, and they're able to look at all of that. At this point, I'm just not interested in playing that game with those filthy, disgusting 4-stroke. They swim in their own filth.
What do you mean? Those old leaky 2-stroke machines do the same thing pretty much. I mean, they're a mess too, some of them.
Yeah, but I don't want to pick on them.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying, all that to say is like, I have a high respect for you and I want to learn more. That's why I watch your videos. I don't necessarily have to work on my own stuff, but it's like, if I get a blower like that and I can't figure it out for some reason, it'll just drive me nuts. Usually it was just both those blowers were beat up so bad, and it's like I don't want to even pour money into buying more parts or buying I didn't want to buy a short block or any, those weren't worth it. So like, so on big thing, like my cars or truck or something like that, like I'll just not give up on it until I fix it. But it's like, man, on a blower, I only paid $80 to begin with, and it was during the middle of the peak season. And I was like, man, this thing's just getting in my way, at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm saying I never just, dump something when I can't fix it. That's not really how I work. But I'm just saying that was an instance that it happened over the summer that, it just goes back in my mind. But anyway, what I'm saying is I want to learn. I don't really have to learn, but I want to learn. I want to learn some of these tools. Obviously, I'm on the other side of the country from you. I'm not really like taking business away from you, and I'm not, but like I just want to learn, because 9 out of 10 people that are homeowners or even professionals don't even know how to tune a carburetor,
Right.
and that's okay, but it like that bothers me. Like if I can't figure out, like if most people don't want to figure out something, I want to figure out how to do that thing that most people can't figure out how to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just that kind of thing in my mind.
Sure.
And that's why I watch your videos, because I want to learn. And it's so cool. And what I'm saying is it's just hard enough. It's not just, okay, this thing's running bad, just bolt on another carburetor and it just works. Like, no, I mean, sometimes that could happen for some people, but it's just complex enough where it's going to be a long time before you're out of job, doing this stuff. And even for homeowners.
I try and present the videos in a systematic approach where, we look at this first and then we look at that. And even if you don't know what, how it's going to end, if you look at a tank of gas and you don't see water and it doesn't smell bad and each one of those steps, you can eliminate it, and you can, there's guys that fix just by process of elimination, They may not have ever seen that piece of equipment before, but this is good and that's good and that's good. And hey, this looks questionable. Let's look at that a little closer. And they get it done.
Yeah, it's so neat. And so I just have a super high level of respect for you, and that you're able to, and that you're taking time to show people on there. And again, I think, not again, but like, even if someone local watches your videos and they watch you go through all this process of how you do this, they are not going to do that. They're just that is going to make them all it does is just makes them trust you and your shop more. Like, oh, I'm definitely going to bring mine down there, because I'm not doing that. I'm not getting that, spark tester tool for my coil. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not checking compression. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm going to bring it to him because obviously he knows what he's doing. So like, even same with stuff, that you help customers with online, like in the lawn, they still don't want to do it. It just shows them that how, that you're qualified to do it, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what your channel is. Some people watch your...
I don't think we lose any customers because of the videos.
Oh, yeah. I think you gain some from it.
Right, for sure. But the people that maybe picked up something and learned from my videos and they're doing it at home, they were going to do it at home anyway. They just needed to find the right video, right? I mean, there's the people that don't know and don't care, take it to the shop, and the people that are going to just knuckle down and figure it out, and they're not coming to the shop anyway, so, why not help them out?
Yeah. Yeah, and there are some things, man, like I would, here's what you should do. You should get, for those of us like me that watch your YouTube channel, you should compile an Amazon affiliate list of things like like that thing for the coil, testing that, and your little RPM thing, the little clamps on there, or all these random little tools, and compile a list of them and figure out how you can gain a little bit of money through people using the links. Like, hey, here's my top 10 tool, two-stroke diagnostic tools. Or maybe even put them in your eBay store and have links to where they can buy them in your eBay store. I think that would be cool, and I would be interested in those things. I mean, you've helped me out with so many things. Like, I bought what you use like a snap-on one, but I bought a Milwaukee M12, a 12-volt screwdriver. And then I got, they're probably 4-inch or 6-inch, the Torx bits, for long ones. Yep. Man, that is a game changer compared to, reaching down in there and doing this, just zipping out screws, removing the recoil covers and just all these things. Like, it's just, man, something like that. But people don't know, they don't know how to find the T12 25, 27, long bits like this that go in the 1/4 inch thing. And
Right.
I enjoy digging for the stuff online, but I'm saying if you could compile like, hey, this is Greasy Shop Rag toolkit.
Yeah.
If
not
you
a
like
bad
put something
idea.
together like that, that would be
Yeah.
cool. Or even if you sold it as one kit, like, hey, this is $300 kit and it comes with all the stuff you need, and you sell it through your eBay store. Even if you did something like that, people would buy it. I'm telling you, it would be cool because there are a lot of these things. And then meanwhile, you're helping people, like you're just enriching their lives with helping them with these different tools and stuff. And because by the time they find their videos, maybe they're banging their head against the wall of, trying to fix this blower they have or whatever.
Right.
That's not how I didn't find your videos in desperation. I just found it just recommended it to me somehow, just because I enjoy watching repair videos. I enjoy watching car repair videos, all kind of stuff like that. And so so when I found you that were, in the green industry doing this stuff, I like, man, this is cool. And sorry, when I keep looking down, not being disrespectful, I'm just always checking to make sure your levels are sounding nice on this little board.
Okay.
If you see me look down, yeah.
You're doing all right?
Yeah, you're doing great. This is going to sound great. I release them every Wednesday. And anyway, I think there's one that's already like recorded ahead of you, but this is cool stuff. And also 30,000 lawn guys and dealers. I've told you this, but consider coming to that Equip Expo one day because you would love it. I mean, every brand of every single thing, every screw manufacturer, I mean, you name it. It's the biggest one in the whole world. And I know, so it's in Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville, or however they say it. But
we actually talked about that this last year, but I don't know, one of these days. I got a daughter that lives in Louisville.
Oh, wow. So you got
Yeah, so I
connections. You got no
make it
excuses then. Yeah. Because, I mean, I live like 8-hour drive away, and I just, I drive up there. And but it's just so cool. I've met so many cool people in the industry. Because me growing up, I just thought, even to my friends and stuff, I'll keep it on the down low that, that we run a landscape business and, have all this equipment stuff. I thought, hey, we're a strange landscape family. And so don't tell everybody that, cause when I was a kid, most of my friends, their dads, maybe they have corporate jobs or whatever. But then when you attend an event like that and you see the massive scale of the industry, just how big our industry really is, sometimes we don't notice it because, we just have our local Husqvarna dealer and we have our local, lawn service down the road. But when you can go and see it in, the massive scope of our industry, it blew my mind. It blew my mind the first time I've seen that. Literally, you can walk for 3 days and you will not get to see all the booths. There are 1,200 separate exhibitor booths there. 1,200.
Wow.
So, half the time when you walk the whole day, and then, because time goes really fast when you're seeing all this stuff, and boom, it's time to close up shop, and you don't even know which direction you came out of, to leave. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
it is insane the amount of stuff that's there. And just the, the relationships that you make just with people in the industry and brands and this stuff. Well, that's cool, but mainly just, like, you go in there and, half the people there are dealers and people, service people just like you. And you guys have kind of like you get to go under like a special badge. If you're a servicing dealer or whatever, you have like a different color badge and you get to go in a day early. There's all kind of special classes and stuff that you can take that the regular landscaper can't take. And so there's half the place is full of guys like you that are servicing dealers. And so like the people that you'll meet, and, the people that are putting out the effort to come into an event like this, and there's 30,000 of them, are kind of, they're the elite servicing dealers. People like you that they're not just, going out and kicking the wall every day because they hate their job. Like, no, if they're putting out the effort to come to this, like these are the people you want to talk to that are in the industry,
Sure.
So like, so I've made friends with lawn guys that I'll have for a lifetime. I mean, hundreds of friends, because I've been going for like 9 or 10 years now. And so it just opened up my mind and just broadened my horizon. That's why I'm doing this podcast right now. That's why I'm talking to you. That's why I'm reaching out. And that's why I'm, being a part of the worldwide community is just, it's incredible. It's incredible. So like, it's a tax write-off, for your dealer and all this stuff. Like, so sometime you need to come because it doesn't cost the same as, like a vacation or something. Cause it's a business trip,
Sure.
And so, man, it's amazing. And like I said, you get to have like a special badge if you're a servicing dealer, and you get to do all kind of cool stuff. You get the blue stripe on yours. So yeah, it would. I'm saying definitely consider it because it would blow your mind. You would meet so many people that watch your channel, and just this, and it's kind of central in the country. So if you ever go to one green industry event of any kind, this would be the one. It's that kind of thing. Like this is like the SEMA Auto Show, of green industry. And you get to see all the stuff that's new, that's not even released, and probably a lot of even dealers don't know about it, until like they're.
Yeah, that happens.
Right. So like prototype stuff, all this stuff that's coming either next year or the year after, boom, they have it sitting there, and you can talk to the people about it. And every booth, it's not like there's just some random guy from Husqvarna that's there. No. They put, like VP of this, overlook service, whatever. Like, so top guys that are super knowledgeable, those are the guys they pick to be in that booth because it's an important event. Nice. And so if you go, any booth you go to, like you're talking to the right people, you know what I mean? Like it is awesome. So yeah, I've gone 10 years in a row, and 9 years, but except for one, during 2020. But like it's that valuable. I'll just continue to go. And I mean, obviously, small tweaks, every year. I'm not saying like the whole show is different every year. You know what I'm saying? There's small things that change or come out in the industry, but between the stuff you see and between the relationships that you make and connections that you make, like, man, it's an amazing trip. And so just something to think about. That's why I asked you about it before that, because yeah. And I know it's busy for all of us. I mean, in Georgia here, we work year round, so it's hard for me it's in mid-October. So, I mean, thankfully it's not in like the peak of summer or something, because that obviously would be even worse. But, yeah, and it's a half a day Wednesday, full day Thursday, 9 to 5, and then Friday it's over at lunch. So technically some people, they'll fly in and just come for Thursday or whatever and pack in a full day Thursday. But again, you're a servicing dealer, so you could go in Wednesday morning, 5 hours before everyone else, and talk to whoever you want to. Like it's awesome. And so I make friends for a lifetime. So you'll have a connection with me forever. Like come down and I can introduce you to so many people. Like, yeah, do that sometime. It'd be great for your channel. Be great for you. There's really no downside to it. So like something to consider.
Well, you'll be the first to know if I decide to go.
Yeah. And man, you have so much knowledge to give people. I appreciate your time tonight. What else? Let's tell people a little bit about, like, why did you decide to, as we wrap this up, why did you decide to make a YouTube channel showing people about this stuff? Because 90% of dealers out there and service dealers are not doing that. And same even with landscapers. 90% of landscapers are just going out and mowing, and it takes extra time, to film videos and edit and all that stuff. Why did you decide, hey, there's something in you that decided, hey, I want to help this person over in Florida fix his chainsaw? And what is that? Like, what made you want to start on YouTube? That kind of thing.
Well, getting into YouTube itself was more of I used to write a blog. Okay. I think in 2013 I started that, and it was written and I had photographs, right? That's what a blog.
Yep. Kind of like writing an article, basically.
Finding content for that blog and always having to think ahead, what am I going to do for this week? What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do this week? That started wearing on me. I mean, I was doing projects at work and working on bikes and toolbox stuff, but you start running out of ideas. And I had used a couple of video clips that I had to host on YouTube in order to put on the blog. So the clips were hosted on YouTube, and then I kind of like making them videos, and then I really like to make the editing process. I enjoy that. And then I realized that I talked to the boss about hanging a camera over my bench. I mean, it's free content, right?
Yes.
And, I never had a problem sharing the knowledge with people. So this just gave me a better outlet to do that. I got all the free content. I mean, every day, let's say I work on, let's just say 10 things a day, there's 10 potential videos,
right?
half of those are going to be junk I can't use. But yeah, I've probably got 2 years of video stored.
Oh wow.
You know, like 200 repairs, let's say. I do 2 a week. In video clips that just have to be edited yet. So even if I didn't have a job tomorrow, the channel would go on for 2 more years.
Wow.
At least until we have to start tearing stuff apart at home, right?
Right. Yeah. So are you like filming like every single chainsaw that comes on the bench, or do you just think, oh, this one's probably gonna make a good video? Boom, I'll do that. Like how does that work?
So the ones I think will make good videos, I edit those right away.
Okay.
The ones I'm not so sure about are the ones that are sitting in file folders in my computer right now. Do I film every one? No, because you'd see, 15 125B blower videos in a row, right?
Right.
How many times do I want to see the same thing over? It's bad enough that I got so many carb repair videos, but that's what I do the most of.
I gotcha.
I'm constantly. So I can't not do those, or I wouldn't have any content.
Yeah.
But even when I do another boring carb video, I try to add something in there, like whatever I can come up with that's unique, or to add some level of learning or training, or some pass on something, or maybe I made a new tool, whatever it is. But even on the boring carb videos, I try to add something in there that's out of the ordinary.
I gotcha. And so do you have some kind of, it's cool because you guys, you'll see when you watch his channel, but it feels like you're like watching his videos. So every one of your videos is kind of filmed like same way. And it feels like you're like a spy on his workbench in the back of the shop. You see other guys working in the background. You see stuff happening. And that's what's really cool. So are you using some kind of camera where you're just like filming all the time, or do you just have a GoPro up there and you're just recording on selected ones, or like how does that work? And when did you start your YouTube channel? Like what year and that stuff? Roughly. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but.
So it's been 2 or 3 years with the YouTube videos that are just repairs over the bench. I originally was going to name the channel Over the Bench because the camera's over the bench, right?
Right.
In fact, when I put them in file folders on the computer, that's what I label them, Over the Bench, and then the date of the repair. But I continued using the Greasy Shop Rag, which was from the blog. And I'm getting off topic here, but the Greasy Shop Rag isn't really what everyone thinks it is. It's not that greasy rag that's laying on the workbench. Rag is like a slang term for a trashy newspaper or something.
Right? Yep.
Older slang term. And when I had the blog, it was the Greasy Shop Rag.
Oh, wow.
In fact, some of my old logos, you see that rat, he's kind of holding a newspaper.
Yep.
So that's where it came from. But it wasn't until about a year or so into making these videos that I realized people thought the Greasy Shop Rag was that towel I put on the bench that I do all my work on.
Yeah.
Put the towel there so screws don't roll away.
Right.
But I forgot what your question was.
Well, I guess, yes. Oh, the question was like, what you said you've been on YouTube a couple years. That was one question. The other question was like, are you just recording everything? Like, what camera are you using? Are you hitting record? And yeah.
Yep. So I got a GoPro Cube, the little 1.5-inch square cube. You just push one button and it's recording.
So those are ones that came out. Man, what's the thing? Hero Sessions, maybe? Session? Is that what it's called?
That's what it is, yeah, Session. I think the first one I had was the lower resolution one that I wanted a 4K. And I bought a used one on eBay, and the battery was crap. So I actually have like a jump pack that's hanging from the bracket that the GoPro is hanging
wow.
from.
Yeah, like a...
off, that powers the GoPro.
Yeah,
like the kind you would use to jumpstart a lawnmower.
Oh, wow.
Bigger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A little bit bigger one. So it can sit there, maybe a week of video on that one charge. Then I plug it in for the weekend. That works pretty good.
So
the one button thing is the key, because I'm not getting paid to make videos at
Right,
work.
right.
He allows me, and I do everything I can to be in good standing with him on that and keep doing it, right? So
Right.
the camera's one button recording, and that's great.
So
If
you
I
have
get interrupted, just push the button and walk away.
yeah. So you have some kind of jump pack. Do you have just like a 110, like the charger plugged into the GoPro? Is that what you have?
No, the jump pack is plugged into the GoPro.
But but like just like with a phone charger kind of cord, or do you have it like hardwired in somehow?
No, you know how some of those jump packs have a USB port on them?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So I just have that plugged into the GoPro.
And so you always have power on it for
I have to because the battery in the GoPro is shot. So as soon as I turn it on, it says low battery, and then I got to quick turn on the power supply.
Oh, I gotcha.
Jump pack, and then it powers the GoPro. But once I do that the first time in the morning, the battery will hold enough that I can just push the button and be recording.
Turn it on and off, and yeah, that's cool.
I bought a cheap one on eBay, and I would buy another one. It's a good system. It works good. The video is good enough, I think.
Oh, the video's great. Yeah.
Quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that new one, and it's cool because the new one, GoPros, just how they're designed is cool in general because of the kind of ball kind of lens. I mean, if you can see the lens on the GoPro, you're in the shot. You know what I mean? So
right.
And that goes for any of the models of it. So that's kind of what makes them so cool is like, you can just set the camera over there. As long as you can see the lens of that camera, you're in. Whereas, on like a phone like this, you're not necessarily. I mean, over here, I'm out and I can still see it just fine, but like you're out of it, So that's what's cool about that is if it's just generally pointed anywhere on the top of your desk and you put a chainsaw up there, they're going to be able to see it. And then you're doing the other stuff in the editing, like, zooming in on a part, that is critical or whatever. And that's cool. That takes a lot of time to do all that stuff too.
It certainly does.
Yeah. So is it like doing what you thought it would do, like on the YouTube side, or like is it doing as good or as you thought it would do, or like how has that been just like over the years?
I didn't have any expectations. I just enjoy the process, and anything that, as far as followers, if the channel gets big and I make some money off of it, great. If it stays exactly the same way, I don't mind. I'm fine with that. I just enjoy doing it. I don't enjoy, I get a lot of solicitors that, they want to send me their welder and I do a video on it.
Yep.
You've never seen that on my channel, and you probably never will.
Yeah.
Unless, Snap-on or Husky or somebody says, hey, here's a new chainsaw, do a review. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But if it's a Chinese welder, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I get the same. I'm maybe not the same exact ones, but I get these things all the time. I think, they're just trying to reach out to all the people that they can.
I get that, but I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And also you've done a few toolbox tour videos, so that is not just so you're not exclusively over the bench. So guys that are listening, you'll see a kind of variety of things, but man,
the toolbox ones I had to, that started with the blog.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was a Harbor Freight 72-inch bottom chest is how it started. That's the base of my toolbox. And, as I added on to it, that was all done in the blog. And then when I started doing the YouTube videos, I'm like, well, I got to start, doing videos of this stuff. And that's why you see the toolbox videos now, or the updates. I think I'm on the 4th year update on that toolbox.
Is it time for another update soon, you think?
No, I just did one this fall. So I think that was the 4th year. It was the 4th update anyway. You try to do them once a year.
You saying you did it this fall, like last month, or like you mean?
Yeah, I just did one recently.
Okay.
It was the one where I added that printer cabinet on the top.
Okay, I didn't. I must have missed that video somehow. I need to find it and watch that.
Oh yeah, you got to get in on that.
Yeah, because that'd be cool.
No, there was that one dead spot above that. My sliding rack that pulls out.
Yeah,
there was that dead spot above it.
Right.
There's a box there now.
Oh wow, it's kind of cool. It seemed like it kind of like it's been growing over years. Like maybe you just at first had this one, but now you got, oh, okay, we got this cabinet over here for this and this, and it's cool how you kind of builded that out, you know?
The boss kind of suggested that it was probably big enough, so that's when I started going vertical.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, but a guy like you, man, he would kind of be dumb not to just let you set up, set up whatever you want to set up back there, that kind of thing. My opinion. But like, yeah, so that's cool. But I mean, you got some real estate back there now with that with that box. Yeah, and so you leave everything there at your work, right? Like you're not like carting tools back home every day or that.
No, I got tools at work and I got tools at home. So if I ever leave there, I'm gonna have a big sale because I got a lot of doubles right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because a guy like you, I know you're gonna. It's not like when you go home, you're never gonna fix anything at your house. It's not gonna work like that.
Well, stripping and flipping on eBay, I need basically the same tools I have at work, right?
Right.
Plus, there's actually here at home, I use more pullers and things that I don't use as much at work because, a lot of the splitting the crankcase kind of work on a 2-cycle, if it's not warranty work, it's usually too expensive for the customer to agree to doing it.
Right. You just buy another saw at that point. Yeah.
And if it is warranty work, these manufacturers, they're about time just like anybody else. And they know that it's cheaper for them to send you a sharp block than it is to have you spend 2.5 hours on their flat rate to fix that piece of equipment. So I probably do more, splitting the case kind of work here at home.
I gotcha. That's cool. And you have a lot of different tools over there at your work. I mean, every one of those, you have a bunch of drawers and they're all full of different things. So that is cool. So you're pretty prepared. You're pretty prepared for what might come down the line. So, man, this is such an amazing time to have you on tonight and have someone like you. I think it's my first. Well, I have a friend Phil that he used to be he used to work at an Ace Hardware and be a small engine mechanic for steel. He's a friend of mine. Anyway, he's been on the podcast. He's over in Idaho. But anyway, but besides him, this is the first. But he doesn't do small engine on YouTube anymore. This might be my first small engine YouTube guy on the podcast, so that's cool. And also, man, something to think about in the future too is that like you could always, as long as there's some obviously there's a huge value in what you're doing of what you're actually seeing, but man, you get the Spotify for Podcasters app. It's a free hosting thing, and you could strip that audio from your videos and turn it into a podcast basically.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of things I probably could do. There's only 24 hours in a day.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I start, all my video editing is done between 4:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah, I'm same way. I have 2 little kids, and it's busy. It's busy at my house. It's hard to. I was, rushing around helping them get put to bed, before we come out to here, and then, and I'm actually, I play drums for my church. It's a kind of a larger church and multi-services and stuff. So I got to be there at 6:30 in the morning, and I'll be there for 7-8 hours, tomorrow. So like, so like there's a lot going on in, everyone's life, and actually, probably the people that are on YouTube probably have busier lives than people that are off YouTube. 'Cause like my dad would always say, like, if you want something to get done, ask a busy person to do it. Right. And that
makes sense, actually.
Yeah. Like the people that are busy in life are ones that are doing most of whatever gets done. And so yeah, we understand that watching your videos. I'm not saying you just have time to do whatever, but I'm just saying, man, if you could somehow take that same content, I'd listen to carb repair voiceovers for hours, on podcasts. I know other guys would too as well.
Next time I'm doing a voiceover, I got to think about, I'm going to think about if this would work without the visual,
Right. because a lot of it, a lot of it would work. You know, it's just.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes. And then, you know, and then especially if you decided to like, I mean, you could always, but again, that would take more time. But let's say if you on the audio side, you decide to edit in a clip that explained a little part about what you're talking about, and then boom, it just keeps rolling on with with your content. But you know, but see, a lot of your videos, let's say when you're zooming in on a part or whatever, a lot of time you're saying, you see how this, you know, from between this screw and this screw, and you can see that little gap right there, and so you're kind of explaining it anyway, even if you weren't able to see it. You can think about, you know, kind of how you're explaining, and then people can obviously reference to the videos if they want to see the visual of it. But I'm just,
that makes sense.
you know, just like blogs are a big thing, and then, you know, in YouTube, which obviously YouTube is still a huge thing, but audio podcasts are wild big right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, people listen while they drive, and
right. Because you can multitask, listen to podcasts, and do whatever you're doing, right?
And I think that people are so, people don't like to go through their life and do their job or do whatever and just have like nothing going on like in their ears and just have it quiet. Like people don't want to, you know, it's just the way our world is today. Everyone has these buds in there listening to something. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Right.
So I'm just saying, you know, that there's definitely an opportunity there for you to do that. You know, and if I'm just thinking, hey, if you could strip the same content, boom, and put it there, you know, who knows what could happen, you know, with that as well. That's not really what I like. I'm kind of doing them separately because a lawn video where we talk about things, but there are some, it depends on the video. You know, there are some videos where I will strip that video audio and put it as a podcast, but a lot of them, you know, just like this one right here is specifically made, you know, for audio, and people will love it. People will get a huge benefit out of it. But anyway, it's a completely different thing than YouTube, but at the same time, I'm just saying it is a thing right now. And there's limited. The other thing is there's only like probably 20, you know, lawn and landscape podcasts, like in all of podcasts.
Oh, really?
You know, maybe 30, but, you know, not many in general. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Whereas, you know, compared to YouTube, I mean, there are thousands of lawn care channels, you know, like it wasn't like that back in the day, but nowadays it is. And, you know, and small engine repair is still kind of a smaller niche, you know, on YouTube.
Well,
but
when I upload my small engine videos, I use the hashtag small engine repair.
Yep.
And there's 600 channels that come up when I use that hashtag.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, I don't know, is that small or is that big? I don't know. It seems like a lot to me because when I first started doing it, it was 300.
Right. Well, but you got to also think that there's probably, see, that's also counting ones where they just like made a channel, but they're not actually like actively putting videos on there. So, and those ones, obviously, people will never even find those or, you know, get to see them. So, like, let's say there's probably, because the people, you know, channels that make it past 1,000 subscribers is like, you're like in the, you know, top 20% of all of YouTube, you know? So, like, I bet you there's 300 that are actually, if you're saying there's 600 channels, it's probably less than, there's probably 200 that are actively putting out, you know, content on a weekly basis or whatever. Well, on podcasts, you know, just on audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know, all the things. Man, I bet you there's only a couple small engine ones, you know, like, so just something to look into, you know what I'm saying? Like, however and when you put it up on your RSS feed, you know, as long as you have it all, like a lot of these host platforms will automatically apply it for you to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like, you're not like uploading to all those separately every time. It just goes on your RSS feed, boom, goes on to all those different podcast platforms, or whether they listen on, you know, Amazon has their own podcast thing now, or like I said, Spotify, you know, is a huge one, obviously, for everyone, for music and podcasts and everything. Apple Podcasts is still huge, and there's all these other ones where people, you know, listen. And I bet there's a percentage of people that watch your videos, and if they have YouTube Premium, they lock their phone and they're listening to it, you know.
That could be.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, it's always something to keep in mind because it's definitely something that people want nowadays is audio content, you know, like what you're doing. Like, guys would love lawn I know for a fact lawn guys, because they're out mowing 10 hours a day, and they're not able to sit there and watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So guys love content, like me and other fellow lawn guy, and we're talking about this stuff. Like, people be mowing and wherever, Florida, Virginia, Mississippi, Missouri, wherever, and be listening to what me and you were talking about, this whole thing. And the longer the better, in that kind of a setup. But I know for a fact that lawn care business owners would love to listen to you, repairing a small engine, and so, and obviously those are some of your customers. I don't know, and obviously some other small engine people would definitely, I would think, would listen to it as well. But I know for a fact lawn guys would listen to, an audio podcast every day. We got this new, whatever it is on the bench.
Sure.
And if you could do that, like I was saying, without doing extra editing work, whatever, if you could literally strip it from your other and boom, drop that file over there, and it's just an audio file. Yeah. It's an audio file, so it's not like it's taking up 4 gigabytes. Audio files mean everything's just a little bit of megabytes. So because just audio, so it's pretty easy to do that. You just have your picture on there, and it just automatically puts that picture on all the when you listen to podcasts. And anyway, it's just definitely something to think about, because it's another thing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's just an awesome thing. And like I said, podcasts are super, super popular over the last 5 years, or they started kind of 10 years ago or whatever, but now they're, and that's how I listen to a lot of podcasts about, a wide variety of things. And, I only watch a few YouTube channels. You're one of the ones I watch. And, just because nowadays with the way my life is and stuff, running my business, I own a business, have small kids, and I'm married and all that, it's not like I'm sitting around and have time to just watch all these YouTube videos. So on the weekends or different times, boom, if one of yours pops up, boom, I'm watching that thing. But guys like me,
you subscribe to a lot of channels, but you only get to pick a few here and there that you actually get to watch.
Right, yeah, and you're in that realm for me. But see, if it was something that was on audio, well, that just opens up the opportunity for someone like me, someone that's busy, that opens up a whole different opportunity. They don't have to sit down and actually take time to watch it. They can listen to it, Anyway, it's just something to think about. Yeah.
And I do a small engine repair for blind guys.
Yeah. Yeah. See, something like that would be funny. People love that. You could call your channel that, but man, I so appreciate your time tonight. And, you're a wealth of knowledge. I make friends for a lifetime. I have a ton I want to learn from you. If you come out with that, Greasy Shop Rag toolkit that you decide to sell, let me know and I'll hit it up. So
we got to do this again, because I got a lot of landscaping stories that I got to share with you.
Man, that'd be great. Yeah, we didn't even really get into that side, because I know you did that for a portion of your life as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that it's worth sharing. Like when you're running a backpack blower and you're looking down the line at the new guy and can't figure out why he's, standing the way he is, and you realize that the tail of his shirt is sucked into the backpack. He doesn't know how to get it off his back.
Oh man, yeah, we got to go into that. But like I said, I've took enough of your time already. But I make friends for a lifetime. It's not like one time and forever and you're done off the podcast. No, it's not like that. Like you're saying, we need to get back on here in 6 months or whatever, or maybe, or when you have time over the winter or this or that, we'll figure it out. And let's go into some of these landscape stories, and then we can always update people about your YouTube channel and stuff. And guys, subscribe to his channel. I'll have the link down below. And just comment on his video. Here's what you do: comment on his video and said, "I heard you talking with Tony." Because if you mention podcast or thing, YouTube is so weird about that these days. If you just mention some of these words like that, or hey, I seen you on this YouTube video, or I seen you on this, sometimes it'll just you won't even see it. It'll just boom. It'll just vanish. Like that. Comment. It's nuts. Anyway, and they, this stuff is stricter and stricter and stricter. So you got to kind of, I don't know. You kind of, even when I was trying to get in touch with you, it's kind of annoying. You got to really kind of pay attention to what you're saying and how you're typing on there and all that. But anyway, you guys saying, hey, I heard you talking, which this won't come out. Let's see. So this will be not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. Boom, this episode comes on. So it'll be a little bit, and I'll let you know when it comes live. But guys, go over and subscribe to his channel and say, hey, heard you talking with Tony. I'm looking forward to checking out your channel. And guys, you will learn a ton. This is not one of those fake, silly info theory, kind of channels that's like, just giving you theories, on a whiteboard kind of thing. Like, no. He's showing you, hey, this is the saw I fixed this day. It wasn't running. This is the customer's complaint. Customer says, it doesn't have power, whatever. And he goes into it right there live, and you're watching him wrench it. You're watching him take it apart. And he's voiceover explaining what he's doing while he's doing it. So, like, it's a channel like yours is a blessing. It's a blessing to everyone. It's just a win all the way around. Hopefully it helps you, and hopefully it keeps growing, and you're able to just make a little extra income on it. Not to mention you're bringing more customers into your shop. Not to mention you're helping other people in other parts of the world like me fix their saws. Not to mention it's going to help you to make relationships with other people just like me, because you're putting yourself out there. So people are going to want to be friends with you, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome all the way around. So thank you for your time tonight. You came on here and talked with me to someone just because I just literally asked you on your YouTube channel to come on. It's not like you knew me for 10 years or
Right.
you didn't, this is just a cool thing.
You're good at this podcasting thing. You made it very easy. I appreciate that.
Well, I told you it wouldn't be a problem because, that is a thing. If people haven't done it before, they're like, man, are we going to go on there and just sit around and wonder what to say or this?
And my wife and her sister, they scoped out your channel the other day.
Oh, wow.
I told them that, you want to do a podcast, and we got to check this guy out.
Well, that's great. Yeah, check it out.
Fast.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. A lot of cool people were able to get on there with a lot of different stories and stuff. And something like you, man, this is unique. This is cool. This is really cool. And so I so appreciate your time. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to have the link down below in the description, but tell people how they can find you on YouTube or anywhere of the others. I don't know if you do other socials. Like, I'm not on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. But if you do that, explain all that.
I've got all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a shout out in one of the videos and get people to get to the podcast, and we'll make it all work.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Well, tell people what it's called and how to find you. And again, I'll also have the link down below. And we'll be out of here.
Sounds good.
So I'm saying you tell them right now. How do they find it? What's your YouTube channel? What's it called? You know what I'm saying? And I'll have the link down below. But
Gotcha. Wait.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 2 steps ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
The channel is the Greasy Shop Rag on YouTube. What else do you want me to tell them?
Yeah, that's great. And then what's the eBay store called? Is it called the same?
Oh, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the Greasy Shop Rag on eBay.
And I'll have the links down below, guys. So you just roll down. Depending on your platform, it'll have the little 3 dots. You can drop down the little box, and it'll have, where people put links and stuff. Well, I'm going to put his links right at the top, so you can click that. Boom, it'll take you straight to his YouTube channel. Check it out. Give him a subscribe. Give him a thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button, right? Is that what they say?
Yeah. I guess that's what they say, yeah.
Yeah.
I never say that.
Yeah.
You ever noticed that?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever asked anyone to subscribe.
Well, I think that's kind of cool that you don't, because that's kind of annoying to ask that. I'm just being silly saying that right now. People know that they want you to subscribe. Like,
That's just it. It annoys me when people want, you're 3 seconds into a video and they're asking you to subscribe. And like, I've never seen you before. I may never watch you again. I ain't subscribing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My content and your content needs to be so good that they're like, oh, well, I want to subscribe so I don't miss what comes out on this. And we need to, like you're saying, we need to earn that, from the inside out, kind of thing. Right. That's how it needs to be. But I'm still telling you guys to just go on there because you already know about him. Even if you haven't watched his video yet, I'm telling you, in this case, go ahead and just subscribe now. Then you can start watching videos.
And then you decide for yourself. They'll subscribe once they see it.
Right. Well, thank you, bud. Thanks for being on tonight.
Thank you,
I appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship. And I'll holler at you via email as soon as this episode is, available. Boom, I'll let you know. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. You have a great night.
Great. You too. Thanks.
See you, bud.
Yep. Bye.
All right, guys, there you have it. What a cool guy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That was so cool. Man, for months, I was hoping that I could get him on my YouTube channel. I'm sorry, on my podcast to talk about exactly kind of the things that like we talked about, and it was awesome. So, wow. I got a lot to do. I still not even practiced up on my drums yet. Oh, man. I got to get to bed, and we got to do this thing. All right. All right, guys. I so appreciate you, and I'll see y'all out mowing these lawns, right? I'll see you in the lawn, right? Is that what the lawn care nut says? So I'll see you out in someone else's lawn. All right? See ya.